Hey everyone, and welcome to In the Running, a podcast where we bring your local elections to life.
We're your hosts, May Dapkus and Olivia Self, two juniors at Mountain Brook High School.
We started this podcast to help inform voters on who is running in their local elections and what those candidates do on a citywide scale.
So, we're asking the real questions about their goals, values, and what they want to do for your communities across Alabama. This is In the Running.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to In the Running. We're your hosts, Olivia Self.
And I'm May Dapkus, and today we are here with Mr. Keith Pilkington, running to represent Alabama's 6th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so our first question, we always ask this. Who are you outside of your campaign?
Yeah, well, currently working as a registered nurse, so I'm at the bedside, making everybody sure they got their medicines and their IV fluids and antibiotics. And my favorite thing to do is to go camping when I'm off.
Oh, that's fun.
Me and my wife go camping at the lake.
So what inspired you to run?
Yeah, well, the idea actually came to me when I was camping.
Oh.
So at the Lake Gunnersville, and it was built during the Great Depression, you know, and America was facing a big hardship. And we came together and government helped the Tennessee Valley building the dams and a good source of power. And I was like, we're facing an affordability crisis this time. And what am I going to do? So I decided to run.
Okay, so how does your background uniquely prepare you to represent, Alabama in the U.S. Congress?
Well, I'd say my background in healthcare helps out because that may be the biggest affordability issue. It's the biggest cost of government right now, and it's hurting families. And I see my what's taken out of my check for insurance, and yeah, it's a lot. Further back into my background, when I was in the Army, that experience being in the Army and during wartime and service in Kosovo, it helps me with like a strategic mindset, because in the military you've got to achieve an outcome on the battlefield, or you got to protect people, and you've only got so many resources to do it. And so you come up with a strategy other than, well, let's bomb them some more or send in more troops. You come up with a strategy to seize a certain place.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you were to be elected, what would be your top 3 measurable goals for your first term?
Yeah, well, my thing that I really like is this program that already exists.
Okay.
It's the program for all-inclusive care for the elderly. And if I wouldn't have been researching so hard, I wouldn't have heard about it, and I never hear anybody talk about it. But it's a program where elderly who would otherwise go to a skilled nursing facility or commonly a nursing home can live in their homes. And they're able to go to a day center. They get transportation to there. And at that center, they have a rehab gym, physical rehab, occupational therapy, the doctors there. And they've got all the services combined into one thing to keep them healthy and prevent illnesses and hospitalizations. And it saves $30,000 a year per participant. Housing's my next big thing, and we don't have enough housing. And the easiest way to produce housing is to build it in a factory. But it's kind of a stigma with manufactured housing that it's a trailer, But the housing bill, the recent housing bill, well, it did pass Congress, but the president refused to sign it. But whenever it does get enacted, I think it will. They removed the requirement to have a metal frame that stays on it. So that's going to open up where engineers and architects can design housing. It's not going to look just like normal housing, but you can build it in a factory, significantly less cost, maybe 40%. And we need to build it in Alabama.
Yeah.
And just recently, there was the announced closure of the Goodyear plant in Tuscaloosa. It's not in the 6th district, but it would have impacts, beyond Tuscaloosa. But that would be the perfect place to build modular housing. Alabama could build housing and ship it to other places in the country. So the millions of houses that had to be built, they can be built here, and we'll make a lot of money. And number 3, well, food. Got to concentrate on food. And I came up with the idea from being in the Army, and we have a commissary, and food's like 30% cheaper. It is because there's some government support, but we need that option for people. Not where government doesn't need to take over a bunch of grocery stores, but we should. Everybody should have that option of having a nonprofit grocery store. Yeah. And I got some ideas for the supply chain with that. I got the inspiration from the way schools, the Food for Schools is done. And it's a partnership between the USDA and the Defense Logistics Agency. And the USDA, they know where the farmers are, and they can buy everything from farmers to give to schools, but they can't move everything, and the Defense Logistics Agency can make contracts with truckers and wholesalers to store and move goods. And that would be the supply chain behind, community grocery stores are being opened. But they, a lot of times they fail. They don't have the supply chain for a massive scale to compete with anyone and have low prices. But this would allow them to get some scale.
I like the idea about making the Goodyear plant into affordable housing production. Do you have any other goals or plans to how support production in Alabama?
Yeah, I have an idea or a dream for the battery industry.
Oh,
We can be the buckle of the battery belt.
okay.
There's this thing called the battery belt. It goes from North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and then goes up into the Midwest. And Alabama has this big deposit of graphite, the biggest in the lower 48 states. And that's a big component of the batteries. And then we have this port that nobody's ever heard of, the Port of Birmingham.
No.
No clue.
Yeah, I know Mayor Woodfin's working on it a little, but that could be where the material is made, because you got to combine lithium with the graphite and cobalt and all that stuff to make the material. So Alabama could have an industry again. We lost steel, we need an industry again. And then we got batteries, and we can have affordable electricity. But
Continuing off of manufacturing, how do you feel about tariffs to support manufacturing, even if it risks higher consumer prices?
yeah, the tariff thing, they should only be used for like an infant industry, an industry just beginning, because an established industry in another country, they will try to flood the market and destroy an emerging industry. But this blanket tariffs on everything, then it destroys the whole point of the protective tariffs if you're putting it on everything.
Kind of switching gears a little bit, we're going to talk about education. So Alabama is ranked near the bottom on the national education rankings. What do you think is the root cause of that?
I've thought about it a lot, and you could look at it. It's something to do in our history. We've just something in Alabama in the South. We have the legacy of segregation, and then a desegregation that something didn't go right. I don't fully understand it, and we do have the problem with so many districts pulling away from each other and forming their own school districts. And money's consolidated. But what to do about it? You can't just say, I'm going to take your money away and give it to somebody. It's not politically feasible. But the focus, maybe quit talking so much about budgets and talk about teachers, because that's the whole key, is the teachers. So how do we keep teachers from leaving their first job within 3 years like they typically do, or just leave the field altogether? But there can be programs of mentorship, and where teachers from different school districts can cooperate and have workshops and share best practices, and even meet in places together and have classes with children from different districts, just to foster this spirit of cooperation.
Okay, switching gears again, we're going to talk about healthcare.
It's important because you're a nurse, so you probably have lots to say about
lots
this.
to say about this. Alabama is currently in a healthcare crisis in regards to access. What do you think we could do to solve that?
Yeah, and what everybody says, and they're right, it's about expanding Medicaid, and I wish I could get it done, but the legislatures in Montgomery, they're kind of afraid. They're afraid of spending all the money to take on the extra people, and that the federal government might take away that money. They're really afraid. But I think focusing on the program of all-inclusive care, and when we start saving money in Medicaid, that'll make it seem less scary, and that government support of healthcare isn't a dead end, because right now they're still skeptical, and if we can start saving money, then they'll be more open to expanding Medicaid.
Yeah. And you as a medical professional, a healthcare professional, have you seen anything in your field of work that you've been like, this could use some government intervention?
Well, something I've studied and then seen firsthand is that a small number of patients account for a lot of the cost, and the statistics say 5% account for 50% of the cost. And I'm kind of skeptical about that, but then when I'm at work and I open up a chart and it flashes this warning, a high healthcare utilizer, and then I look through all the doctor's notes, and it's like they're in the hospital maybe 300 days a year, it seems like. It seems like most of their life is spent going in and out of the hospital, because a lot of it could be social issues. They don't have a stable place to live and access to, and maybe they're not able to make it to doctor's appointments and to get the care they need. And just recently I had a patient with COPD, and they were in the hospital because their electricity ran out. And so their oxygen doesn't work. They can't get through their breathing treatments. And so eventually it gets to where they've got to go to the hospital or they will die. And so then we have to spend who knows how many thousands of dollars, when maybe $300 would have kept them out of the hospital.
Last gear switch, we're going to talk about the prison system in Alabama. We've constantly been facing a lot of criticisms for our prisons and correctional facilities. What is your take on that?
Yeah, one thing is Alabama's prison system has been ruled unconstitutional. It's so bad that it's violating cruel and inhuman punishment, which that's, and then I think that, yeah, definitely money's a thing. But from being in the military and then in a profession that uses force and has that responsibility, that culture can drift. I guess I call it going to the dark side, and people start abusing people, abusing prisoners, and you've got to have some entity from the outside that's able to inspect. You need transparency and accountability over institutions that have that immense power over people, because correctional officers, they have complete power over people, and power corrupts unless you have somebody from the outside looking in. And then even like the prison guards, their behavior against inmates, that's one thing, but then the inmates' behavior against other inmates, it's just the prison guards are looking the other way, and nobody's listening to any complaints or need for protection. And so it may be an office, a federal office in the Department of Justice, like an inspector general, someone that can send people to a prison to investigate. And you always have somebody to give a report to, like an inmate can reach out to somebody to say this is going on, and I fear for my safety. So when you have that pressure, then you can get reform.
So what is your stance on gun legislation, especially considering Alabama's strong gun culture?
Yeah, and I have family involved, and they go to gun shows and sell guns, and but we need responsibility and store guns safely, and we need some common sense background checks, and I actually think that protects the gun industry. Yeah. You don't need these incidents reflecting poorly on that. And the NRA, a long time ago, it used to be about promoting skills with rifles, which I like that. I think I'm a pretty good shot, but
always improve.
But we got to be responsible, and it's going to make money for the gun industry if it's not looked at poorly, and certain weapons, maybe everybody doesn't need weapons that I would normally take to a war. Not everybody, but to have, sort of a special license for that.
Interesting, yeah, I like it. Okay, and talking about responsibility, let's talk about fiscal responsibility. How do you think Congress can mitigate the growing national debt?
Yeah, it's so bad that used to, like Democrats, it's like we don't have to watch spending, but now everybody does. It's bipartisan now. Mm-hmm. But in healthcare is the biggest thing. But we can't just just cut benefits and keep people from having access, but making the system more efficient and preventing hospitalizations by keeping people healthy and actually getting people access can save money when we don't let chronic conditions get so bad that someone's constantly going to the hospital. And diabetes, we got to catch it early until they're in the hospital and I'm their nurse and they're getting toes cut off, legs amputated, and they're going blind, their kidneys are failing, and we got to pay all the money to get access for dialysis. And then we can't find them a place for dialysis because there's not a chair at a dialysis facility open, so they have to go to the ER, get hospitalized enough to get dialysis, and then go home again and repeat. But that's...
Here's our last question, and it's my favorite question because it's also kind of a challenge. It's in one sentence. Why should people vote for you?
Okay.
It's a thinker.
Yeah. Well, vote for me if you want someone who truly cares about you and is going to work hard to come up with real solutions to your problems.
Perfect. That sums it all up. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Pilkington.
I was so glad to be here.
It has been a pleasure.
Yes, it really has been. And for everyone watching, don't forget to vote. There's the special elections, special primaries on, I believe,
August 11th?
August 11th. And
August
general
11th.
elections on November 3rd. So don't forget to vote, and we'll see you later.
Bye.